Okay, we are here and we are going to talk about transits and how to look at the transits and how to follow them. And we're going to go from there. So let me get my screen share and we'll start with, actually, let me start with this one. All right. So what we got here is the wheel of the current transits. This is what's going on today. So if we take a look at this, don't worry about the placement of the houses because it's right now where I'm at or close to where I'm at. It is a Sagittarius rising, but we know that we have a new rising sign almost every 2 hours. It's, within a couple minutes based on how big the sign is. So anyway, right now it is coming up. Sagittarius is about 19 degrees over the horizon, but that just gives us a placement. What we really want to look at is where everything is. So we know that it's November 3rd, and we should know that the sun should be in Scorpio. So we're going to go look for the sun, and we're going to see it over here in Scorpio. See, the constellation is on the outside rim here. See, look at here's Sagittarius. It's 19 degrees above the horizon. Scorpio's already risen. This rose a couple hours ago, but because of the sun rose, and now it's like, if you look at my time, it's 9:44 in the morning. So it's been more than 2.5 hours, 3-4 hours. The sun is later that the sun rose. Okay, so here it is, 11 degrees. That tells us that it's 11 days ago. The sun moves a degree a day, approximately. It started into the sign of Scorpio. Now let's just look at everything else. We know over here that Mercury is always really close to the sun. You will always find it either in the sign before, after, or the same as. So Mercury will either be, like if it's in Scorpio, it would either be in Scorpio or the sign before it, Libra, or after it, Sagittarius. So we see over here that Mercury is in Libra. It's 25 degrees, and we look at 54 minutes, and we see a little R. It's retrograde. We're going to remember this. We're going to talk about this shortly. We go over here and we see Venus. Venus, it's also close to the sun, but not as close as Mercury. So you'll find it over within, gosh, I think it's, oh, don't quote me on it. But anyway, it'll be fairly close to the sun. So we have 7 degrees Libra, 57 minutes, and we don't see anything here, so it's direct. And we're going to go around here, and we see the North Node is at 21 degrees Gemini, retrograde, and they always are, the nodes are retrograde. And then today, the moon, we're going to keep looking. Right now, it's 14 degrees Gemini, so remember that. That's also important. And we have, keep going, we have Uranus, 8 degrees Taurus, 34 minutes, and it's retrograde, 8 degrees. So you should just kind of in your head, well, just keep that there too. And then we have Mars at 15 degrees Aries, 58 minutes, and it's retrograde. And then we have Neptune at 18 degrees Pisces, 21 minutes, it's retrograde. It's not unusual. Most planets go retrograde, and the outer planets are retrograde for 5 months at a time. We'll explain retrograde in another session. Very fascinating. It's just a viewpoint from our point on Earth. Planets don't actually go backwards. Okay, moving on, we have Saturn here at 26 degrees Capricorn, 22 minutes. Pluto, 22 Capricorn, 43 minutes. Jupiter, 21 Capricorn, 25 minutes. And we've had this cluster of amigos here for quite some time. And then we come back to the sun. Okay, so this is we're going to say this is the wheel. This is, how it looks in 2D. Now I'm going to show you another version of this. We're going to look in an ephemeris for today. And this is an ephemeris. And usually, there's books that are the American ephemeris for the 21st century One of them is from the year 2000 to 2050 at noon, Greenwich. So I'm going to look at this. Let me make it, can I make it bigger? Can I get this bigger from here? Let me see if I can get larger. Well, anyway, over here we're going to see the sun on the far left side, and you'll see the day. So each day that's a little bit highlighted is the start of the new week. So this November started on, you know, Sunday the 1st, and then it'll be the next Sunday, the 8th, the 15th, 22nd, 29th, just to give you some reference. All the way across the top is the planets going outward, and then the last thing, the column, is the moon node. Another lesson on what that is, but just know that. So here we have the sun, and today on the 3rd, we have it at 11 degrees, Scorpio, 1 minute. That was at that time. Now it's going to continue to move through the day, but just, it's going to tell us the same thing. Look at the, in the early part of the day, the moon was 6 degrees. You know, it's moved now to, what was it, 11, I think was in there, anyway, or 14. Mercury, there's 25 degrees. Libra, seeing it's a different color, that's retrograde. It's a, you know, that red color. And then we can look across here and we can see, you know, the planets are in order going out from the sun. And I'm not going to repeat all of them and bore you, but, you know, I usually have in my ephemeris, I have, you know, a hard copy, and then I put a postcard or something in there so I can see, like, on top of it all the way across, so you can kind of see all of these. But you get used to looking things up, and you just look across the column and it tells you where in space those are. And this can be plotted for a long time. We have, you know, we can put this in front or, you know, behind. So this is the one that I use. And then there's the one that was, where did I put it? I don't have it in here, but anyway, it was the last 100 years. It was from 1900 to 2000. So this just gives you these tables. Just want you to see it real time. See, it's got the, you know, the month and the date, and then you can see, this is just a little bit more expanded, but just, you don't have to zero in on it, but you can see the shaded areas. It shows you the, you know, the retrograde cycles. It's fascinating. So this is plotted from, you know, this is already known. This is nothing new. This is like, it's there. It's science. It's astrology. This is like the science. So knowing that, we can have those charts of reference to look things up. So I'm going to share screen again, and we are going to look at today. And then we're going to look at this. Let me move that. How do you do this? What do you do with it? So let's just look at somebody, and I grabbed the chart of Joe Rogan. There's so many people we can look at, and then of course today, but I'm not going to do that because this is going to be for after this day. But we're going to look at Joe Rogan. He's a very interesting fellow. He's a comedian, UFC commentator. He has one of the most famous podcasts ever. He's very knowledgeable on a lot of subjects. He interviews a lot of people. He researches things in depth. Very fun guy to listen to. So let's look at him real quick and see how we might use this. So his son isn't, we look at the date here, and we see, you know, when he's born, and I believe this is an accurate birth time because it, I believe I checked it out, and it gave me a good birth time. But let's just go through this. You know, there's different ways that people validate their birth times. So he's got the sun in Leo, 18 degrees Leo, and he's got Mercury in Leo and Jupiter in Leo. And he's got this nice little conjunct between the sun and Jupiter. So he's going to do big things. I mean, that is right next to his sun. So he's going to be known on a large level, on a huge level. And then he's, you know, with Mercury here, it's a nice distance away. So it's not getting burned out by the sun, but it's kind of blocked by Jupiter, which is good. You know, that big energy there is kind of shielding it. So people really like to listen to him, and he's so fun and so magnanimous to listen to. I mean, it is just typical Leo, and then, you know, sun in Leo, and then Mercury in Leo, and then you get a taste of one of the outer planets in Leo. He's great on that level. And then let's look over here, just look at his chart. We're going to do a quick looky-see before we go into today. I just first look at things that just pop out to me. You know, first I kind of look at the sun and anything close to it because that's your identity. Then I usually look at the rising, but my mind is going over here to the Saturn and Aries because that is trining all of this stuff. So he's got a really, really good aspect from Saturn, the planet of restriction and constraint. And so he uses, how would I say it? Boundaries. And, you know, he's also a martial artist and he's into health, but he uses the hard things. He's not afraid to do the workout. He's not afraid to do the physical lifting, the mental lifting, you know, and it trines all of this. It trines who he is. So he's not a lazy ass by no means. You know, he puts his, you know, he puts it, he does the work. Okay. You know, he puts it there where it's true. Okay. So I'm looking at that. And then I'm just going to start looking at other things. We said the rising sign, and he's got a Scorpio rising. And, you know, he's got that penetrating insight. If you look at him, he looks pretty Scorpio. He's got really focused eyes in his face. He's pretty rounded moon, but look at his moon is right there in the 12th house, right on his ascendant. So he's got that kind of that, you know, he's got that, he knows, he's got that behind the scenes information and intel, and his motions can go deep, you know, and then he's got Mars right there, right on his ascendant, which gives him just tremendous energy to be out there, to be behind the scenes, to bring that forward. And, you know, look at this, it's kind of making, you know, nice squares over to his sun grouping up here, because we got a fixed sign and a fixed sign, fixed. So it makes him stick to it, and it makes him, you know, stick to it and be solid on it and be secure and be methodical. And look over here with the moon node, you know, the north node, and another fixed sign. So he's got a fixed trine, I mean, a fixed trio going on here, you know, fixed, these guys, or a T-square, I should say. Let's see, by degree, he's got the moon here, but it's not, well, yeah, the moon and the north node. And then we've got Mercury at 5 degrees. So that's pretty tight. That's pretty tight. So anyway, that's another thing. So he's got that little fixed phenomena, and then he's got Neptune there as well. It's kind of a little farther away, so it's not getting burnout. It's got not just right there glommed up. So that gives him that again, that behind the scenes knowledge and that power and energy to do it. That's who he is. He's bringing stuff, you know, in a forceful way, you know, kind of in an Aryan way, which is, you know, here over here in his 5th house, and, you know, that Leo house, which is all this Leo. So he's got a beautiful trine with, you know, this stuff going on, you know, these houses. So, okay. So anyway, and then he's got a bunch of meticulous stuff here in Virgo. He's got Venus in Virgo. So he might be a real nitpicky, shit at certain times, you know, he gets real super analytical, and I don't know, he may be hard to live with. And then he's got Pluto here, and that generation of Pluto and Virgo. Then the Venus is retrograde too. So anyway, interesting. And then Uranus over here, and he had that, you know, born in that time when this was close to conjuncting here. So anyway, that's interesting. But anyway, just a little intro to that, and you can see that. So what I would do now is I would take, what I'm going to do is put I'm going to do is called a bi-wheel, and I'm going to put him on the inside and the transits on the outside. And here we go. So let's see, that's okay. We'll leave it like that. All right, so his chart is on the middle. Okay, so this is him. Remember the Mars here and the Scorpio rising, and then the moon over here in the 12th house, and his sun up here in the 9th house, right on his midheaven. Look at that. His midheaven is at 19. I didn't mention that. And Leo. Look at that. Sun, you know, which rules Leo, is right on his midheaven. So this is what he's going to do. But he's on, I mean, it's right on his midheaven. So it's really close to his 10th house, which is what he does. So that's just right there. So he's bringing that philosophical side into what he does. But anyway, let's look at what he's got going on now. So all of this stuff, all of the planets now are then positioned where they are at in his chart. So if he's a Scorpio rising right now, every every year at this time, Scorpio is going to cross his ascendant and be in his first house. It's going, the very first part of Scorpio, it's going to be in his 12th house until like yesterday or today. Look, it's crossing into his first house. So we'll probably hear from him today. He's probably going to be loud. He's got a lot of people going to pay attention to him. He's going to be right out there because, the sun is sitting right on his ascendant. And I didn't know that when I picked him. I just kind of intuitively, I don't know, I just picked somebody and that was it. So maybe that's why. So look at that. We're going to see something from him. Today's the 3rd. It is about 10:30 Eastern time when I'm doing this video. So I think that there's going to be something big going on with Joe Rogan. Okay, so anyway, sun right on his ascendant. He's a big guy. And it is also, look at that. It's going to cross his ascendant, be right there, and then it's going to hit his Mars. So every year, this is a time that happens, but this is an important year, important time, important day. And it's something's going to give him energy, anyway, we'll go on. So anyway, sun is right there with him. Mercury, let's look at that because that's communications and it's 25 degrees Libra retrograde. Let's look and see if he's got anything 25 degrees. Let's see. I'm seeing the closest thing I'm seeing is his Uranus at 22. So it's like a 3 degree and then that's only one sign away. So that's not any real big deal. Okay, so not that way, but we could always look at his progress chart. I'm going to show you one way to look at things, at least. We'll see how long this video is. Okay, so let's go on. Let's see what else does he have going on here. Let's see, the moon is going to be traveling through Gemini today. So that's a mutable sign. And let's look, we know that Virgo is mutable. So it's going to be making trine aspects to his things in Virgo, to his Venus. So the moon making a nice, well, let's just say this way, it's going to be a challenging, we have a challenging aspect, a tension, a movement, let's put it that way too. So, and then over to his Pluto and then over to Uranus. So something's, he gets profound, let's see, starts out nice, or he's got that on that gentle side. And then it gets real deep and profound, which is kind of, like his scorpionic stuff coming through that Pluto. And then the Uranus. So moon traveling today, because moon is here in a mutable sign. And we got Virgo is a mutable sign. So mutable, we got a square going on. Now let's see if he has nothing in Libra. So it's not going to be making any trines there. And how about Aquarius? He's got nothing there, so it's not going to be making trines. So it's going to be giving him a little tension, which sometimes it's important to have boundaries. And he does really good with that because he's got that Saturn making a nice trine over to stuff. He learns and uses boundaries. So that's interesting. Okay, anything else with moon? Let's see. It doesn't have anything over here in Sagittarius. It's going to be inconjuncting all the Scorpio stuff. So he's going to be making adjustments with things, adjustments. So adjustments emotionally, adjustments with his energy, adjustments with, behind the scenes, because that's all this inner stuff here that he has in his 12th and first house. Adjustments, because I'm just saying the moon is going to be inconjuncting, as the moon's flying by, it makes aspects all the way around. And moon is, it's what triggers us. It's what moves us into the emotions. All right, go on. Let's see. How about Uranus here? We've got Uranus in a fixed Taurus sign, 8 degrees. So, so like anything else earthy, does he have anything in Capricorn? No. Does he have anything? Well, but in Virgo. So we've got Uranus, because now we've got a trine, Earth. So this is a little longer lasting. So 8 degrees, and it's retrograding. So it's not really an aspect to this stuff yet. And as it goes forward, which when it starts moving forward, I think it went to 10 degrees before it retrograded. It'll get closer to his Venus. So that will be good. So he may have some, his Venus side, or Venus in his life, or money, or things, or what he likes to do is going to get a sudden something, when Uranus always hits that. Then it'll go on. But anyway, that's 8 degrees. Let's see, anything else around 8 degrees for him? Well, as it gets closer, it's going to do, have some aspects over here to his first house planets. But no, nothing quite right there. Let's just move on. Mars at 15. Well, we got the Aries it's not going to go too much further back before it starts forward. So it made an in conjunct over to his Mars. So he had some adjustments recently. He moved. He had to move his operations. I think his part of his employees had, they had to stop him for a little while. Spotify gave him some crap. So here's that, some adjustments. He just went past that when, his Mars was making this more direct, and over here to his Neptune. So both of those and his rising. So Neptune, we got 18 degrees, and we got a opposition here. And that's Neptune is at 18. And, we've got Pluto at 19 in Virgo. So Pisces and Virgo there. So there's something interesting. His, Neptune, and this is the generation, right now that his generation are getting this. And then it's going to, when it goes direct, it will then starts making its opposition over to Uranus. So with his generation and him, we've got these things behind the scenes that are going to have to transform. That's Pluto, and it's making, it's getting exact. It's been floating around those degrees, so it will transform in this year when this moves forward. It's gonna, when Neptune goes forward and it goes over to 19 degrees. I'm just looking at, because he was born in 1967, so those years around him are all going to be feeling this. That's the group. That's the age bracket. That's going to have to make these adjustments from behind the scenes, from crap that's underneath, from Neptunian DC. All that stuff is going to be transformed through Pluto, and then it's going to get worse, or better, I should say. It should be more tumultuous and more erratic as that moves forward, and then it begins to oppose Uranus. So Pluto is going to begin the death, rebirth, transformation. And I have to just show you this, because this is, everybody, when you start looking at outer planets and the transits of that, because they move so slowly, then it's going to transform, and everybody, and planet over is going to be having to transform, and it's going to be erratic and unusual and chaotic and out of sorts. So another video on that one, but let's just continue on here. We're getting to these slower moving planets, except for Jupiter. That's the fastest of all of these. This is very slow. So it takes, well, anyway, let's look at these. 21 degrees, let's look at the slowest one, because this is going to be moving fast. This Jupiter will travel through a whole sign in a year. Saturn, it takes 2.5 years to travel through a sign, and Pluto a lot longer, maybe 12, 15, depending on its orbit. But here, we've got 21 degrees, and then we're looking for a cardinal, and he doesn't have, well, except for his Saturn. So all of that has already squared his Saturn. So he's had an adjustment, and he's had some, problems, change. He went up against Spotify. He went up. They took him. Where was he? What platform was he? Was he on just YouTube? I don't follow it that closely, but they were stopping him from sharing things, and they were, not letting him have certain guests on. And he said, screw that. And then he signed out with Spotify. Now they're giving him shit. So anyway, look at that. I mean, it's like that, has all squared at Saturn, that planet of restrictions. And it was squaring, his Saturn about a year or so ago when it was, or year and a half ago when it was lesser. It's at 26 now. And seeing he's got it natally at 12. This whole year, and earlier when Jupiter was in the earlier degrees, was in a big way, and he had some big changes, and he was up against a big thing because Jupiter amplifies, and then it's, then soon, it was the same place with Pluto, his transformation. So that all transformed, and now, it's moved on. So retrograded, and all of that has moved past his 12 degrees. All of this stuff was hitting when it was his 12 degrees, they've moved past it because now it's at 21, 22, 26. All right, and then it kind of brings us back around. So that is first level of looking at transits. So we look at just the basic energy of you or the person, whoever you're looking at. And you can do this without a program. You can just get your birth chart. And I used to do this before I had, I'm using Sirius. I had Kepler and then the early versions of Sirius. And I'm still using that, but I used to just put the chart, you know, make copies of your chart or whatever, and then just go look up and, you know, draw an outer ring or something like that. And then put the planets in there. See, like here, we just extended the birth, you know, just extend it. So we have over here on the ascendant, you'll see Scorpio. So just maybe draw a line outward, and then you just make yourself a little Scorpio there. And then you're going to draw outward from these spokes. And then you'll put the planets, like, you know, like if you could put them right in here. If you put them right in here, that would just get too busy and congested. You're just going to put them outside of that. So you're going to see where they are now in reference to your chart. And then you start looking for the angles and the aspects that they make to those inner planets. All right, hope that was insightful and informative and fun. Please visit my other videos on Astro Breeze, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks for watching.